In the flooded depths of Chernobyl, the dead still whisper, and the water never forgets. Welcome back to Tales Nameless, your home for spine-chilling true horror stories. If you crave terrifying tales like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single haunting episode. Brace yourself. Beneath the water, the whispers never stop. We found the entrance to the flooded chamber beneath an old rusting water treatment plant, its twisted metal pipes stretching out like the limbs of a long-dead creature, their surfaces streaked with dark, wet stains, the air around them thick with the stench of rust and decay. Anton pushed the rusted door open, the hinges screeching in protest, the sound echoing through the darkness like the scream of a dying thing. We stepped inside, our flashlights cutting through the thick, choking darkness, the air colder, heavier, the walls wet with decades of condensation and grime. The ground beneath our boots was slick with water and mud, the air thick with the stench of rust and rot. The Geiger counter on my chest clicked faster, the needle spiking into the red, the air around us thick with radiation and the echoes of the dead. Katya hesitated at the entrance, her eyes wide, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. "I don't like this," she whispered, her voice shaking. "This place, it feels wrong." I felt it too. That cold, creeping sensation at the back of my neck, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. The walls seemed to lean closer, their cracked, crumbling surfaces stretching toward us, the shadows thick and heavy, their whispers echoing off the damp stone. Anton moved ahead, his flashlight beam flickering as it cut through the darkness, catching on rusted pipes and twisted metal grates that hung from the ceiling like twisted veins. The air grew colder as we descended deeper into the flooded chamber, our footsteps echoing off the wet stone, the darkness pressing in around us, the whispers growing louder, more desperate. And then I heard it, a soft, wet whisper, like flesh sliding over stone, coming from somewhere deeper in the chamber, the sound echoing off the walls, growing louder with each step. I stopped, my pulse thundering in my ears, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps, my flashlight flickering as the darkness seemed to thicken around us, the whispers growing louder, closer. Then, from the darkness ahead, I saw it, a pale, twisted hand reaching up from the dark, oily water, its long, thin fingers stretching toward me, its nails broken and bloody, its hollow eyes fixed on me, its mouth stretching into a grotesque, broken smile. We reached the edge of the flooded chamber, the water black and still, its surface rippling gently, the dark, oily liquid reflecting the thin, flickering beams of our flashlights. The air was colder here, thicker, the stench of decay stronger, the whispers louder, more desperate, their voices echoing off the rusting metal like the cries of the forgotten dead. Anton paused at the edge of the water, his flashlight beam trembling as it flickered across the dark, still surface, the ripples spreading outward, the shadows stretching and twisting, their whispers growing louder, more desperate. Katya stepped closer, her breath coming in short, shallow gasps, her eyes wide, her flashlight beam flickering as it passed over the dark, oily water. What is this place?" she whispered, her voice shaking, her flashlight beam flickering as it passed over the twisted, rusting metal. I swung my flashlight around, the beam slicing through the darkness, catching on twisted metal and shattered glass. the shadows flickering and shivering in the thin, cold light. And then I saw it. A face, pale and twisted, staring up at me from beneath the dark, oily water, its hollow eyes fixed on me, its mouth stretched into a grotesque, broken smile, its teeth cracked and yellow, its skin pale and stretched tight over its bones. It moved closer, its limbs jerking and twitching beneath the surface, its hollow eyes staring straight through me, its mouth stretching wider, its teeth clacking together like broken glass, its voice a wet, choking whisper, echoing off the rusting metal like the cries of the forgotten dead. I stumbled back, my heart racing, my pulse thundering in my ears, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps, my flashlight flickering wildly, the shadows stretching and twisting around me, their whispers growing louder, more desperate, their voices shrill and desperate, their twisted, broken limbs reaching for me. The water remained eerily still, the dark, oily surface barely disturbed by the faint ripples from our footsteps. I couldn't tear my eyes away from that face, pale, hollow-eyed, staring up from beneath the murky depths. It didn't move, but its mouth stretched wider, teeth clacking together like broken glass. Anton stepped closer, his flashlight beam flickering over the water, his breath coming in short, rapid bursts. "Do you see it?" he whispered, his voice cracking. I nodded, my pulse thundering in my ears. "We need to leave," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Now." Before we could take a step back, the water around the face began to ripple, small waves spreading outward. The air grew colder, the shadows thicker, and the whispers louder, more frantic, echoing off the cracked, rusted walls. The face seemed to sink deeper, its features warping and distorting, as if being pulled under by unseen hands. Then suddenly, the water erupted. Pale, skeletal hands burst through the surface, clawing at the air, long, broken nails scraping against the stone floor. I stumbled back, almost slipping on the slick ground, my flashlight clattering to the floor. Anton pulled me up, his own light flickering wildly. The hands writhed and jerked, their twisted fingers grasping at the empty air, water cascading down their thin, sinewy arms. One hand, larger and more twisted than the others, slapped against the concrete, leaving a dark, wet stain that seeped into the cracks. Then, from the darkness behind us, I heard it. The soft, wet patter of bare feet against the cold, damp stone. I spun around, and for a brief, heart-stopping moment, I saw them. Pale, dripping figures standing in the shadows, their hollow eyes fixed on us, their mouths stretched into grotesque, broken smiles. We backed away from the water, our hearts racing, our breaths coming in short, shallow gasps. The hands reached higher, stretching toward us, their fingers twitching and curling like the legs of dying insects. The whispers grew louder, more frantic, their voices overlapping, desperate and angry, like a chorus of the damned. Katya pulled at my arm, her face pale and streaked with tears. "We can't stay here," she whispered, her voice cracking. They want us to drown, too." Anton nodded, his eyes wide and wild, his flashlight beam trembling as it passed over the reaching hands. "There's a ladder," he whispered, pointing to the far side of the chamber, where a rusted metal rung led upward toward a cracked, rusting hatch. We moved cautiously, keeping our distance from the dark, oily water. The figures in the shadows watched us, their hollow eyes unblinking, their mouths stretched into those awful broken grins. The sound of water dripping from their pale, twisted limbs echoed through the chamber, mixing with the low, guttural whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. We reached the ladder, Anton climbing first, his boots scraping against the rusted metal, the echoes bouncing off the damp, crumbling concrete. Katya followed, her hands shaking as she gripped the rungs. I went last, glancing back at the water one final time, and then I saw it. A face emerging from the depths, different from the others. Its eyes were still human, wide and terrified, as if it had just realized what it had become. It opened its mouth, and a bubbling, wet scream tore from its throat, echoing off the rusting pipes and cracked walls. We scrambled up the ladder, the whispers growing louder, more desperate, their voices shrill and panicked, the water below churning as more hands burst through the surface, grasping at the air, their fingers twitching, their mouths stretching wider. We reached the top of the ladder, shoving the hatch open, the cold night air blasting against our faces like a lifeline. We crawled out onto the cracked concrete surface above, the fog swirling around us, the darkness pressing in from all sides. The whispers faded, but I could still hear them, faint, desperate, echoing up from the dark, flooded chamber below. We collapsed on the ground, gasping for air, our bodies shaking from fear and exhaustion. Anton slammed the hatch shut, twisting the rusted handle until it creaked and groaned, sealing the darkness below. But even then, the sound continued, a rhythmic, wet tapping, as if something was knocking from the other side, pleading to be let out. I looked at Anton, and he looked at me, his face pale, his eyes wide, his hands still trembling. Katya wrapped her arms around herself, rocking back and forth, muttering under her breath. "They were people once," she whispered. They just want to be remembered." We didn't speak after that. We just sat there, listening to the rhythmic tapping from below, the sound growing fainter, as if whatever was down there had sunk back into the depths, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to wander too close. As dawn broke, we left the site, the fog still thick around us, the air cold and unforgiving. But even as we walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still being watched, that those hollow, unblinking eyes were still fixed on us, following us as we escaped the cursed place. Sometimes, late at night, I can still hear it, the faint, wet tapping, echoing through the pipes, as if the drowned were still reaching out, begging to be remembered. If this episode left you breathless, hit that like button, subscribe to Tales Nameless, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a single terrifying tale. Share this video with your fellow horror enthusiasts and let us know in the comments if you would dare to return to the Red Forest. In our next episode, we'll push even deeper into the heart of Chernobyl, where the real nightmares lie waiting. Until then, stay in the light, if you can.